Hello everyone, myself Professor Rajendra Khiwari, Department of Electrical Electronics Engineering, Angli Institute of Technology Management, Belgavi. The subject which I am going to deal with is 5th semester Electrical Engineering Materials 17EE552. In this chapter, we'll be looking at Module 1, Introduction to Electrical Engineering Materials. Let's look at the Introduction to Electrical Engineering Materials. The first part is the importance of material. What do you mean by a material? Use of material is an vital requirement for the development and technology. They provide the basis for manufacturing, fabrication, operation, and construction, etc. If you look at a construction of a building or a manufacturing of a machine or to generate the electricity or to transmit the message from one place to another, we all make use of some material. So the above said materials are of different in nature, that is RCC, which is a reinforced cement concrete, steel and iron, copper and aluminium, mica and rubber, alloy and glass, etc. Now, the following areas in which the material used are civil engineering materials, electrical engineering materials, mechanical engineering materials, electronics engineering materials, nuclear engineering materials, computer engineering materials, and nuclear engineering materials. So the most of the materials find interdisciplinary uses. Therefore, it becomes difficult to judge as to which material belongs to which category. In order to know what is interdisciplinary, consider an example as aluminium, which is generally known as a mechanical engineering material, but it finds use in electrical engineering also as a conductor. It finds used in electronics engineering for doping of intrinsic semiconductors. It finds use in metallurgical engineering as an alloy element. Also, it finds its use in civil engineering for decorative item. So this is how the aluminum material is used as interdisciplinary. However, conventionally we call RCC, which is reinforced concrete cement, as a civil engineering material, insulator as electrical engineering material, metals as mechanical engineering materials, semiconductors as electronics engineering materials, uranium as nuclear engineering materials. Now we'll be looking at the classification of electrical and electronics engineering materials. So they are classified into following types. The first one is the conductor. So the conductor can be of high voltage or low voltage conductor. A conductor can be of high temperature and a low temperature. A conductor can be a bare conductor or an insulated conductor. So when you look at the high voltage and the low voltage conductor, so we find this in a transformer, wherein the voltage can be stepped up or stepped down depending upon the requirement. And it is also similar for the conductor which are required for high temperature as well as low temperature. Now when we look at the bare conductors, these are the conductors which are used in the overhead transmission lines, wherein the insulated conductors are used in the underground cables. The next one is the semiconductor. It has two types: intrinsic semiconductor type and extrinsic semiconductor type. Again, the extrinsic is having two parts, N type and P type. So the element which remains pure state is called as intrinsic type semiconductor, whereas in order to get the extrinsic semiconductor, these semiconductors are doped with pentavalent to find N type and trivalent to get p-type. Dielectric or insulators. Again, the insulator is one which does not allow the electrons to flow through them, wherein the electrons are tightly bound to their parent atoms. So here, the dielectrics are classified into solid type, liquid type, gaseous type, ceramic type, polymeric type, and fibrous type. Classification of solid materials. So classification of solid materials is based on the energy gap. So when you look at the classification of solids based on energy gap, we can find three parameters. One is conductor, semiconductor, and insulator. Now when you look at the conductor, before going to conductor, now let's see what is that substance. Substance are composed of atoms, and in substance, nucleus is at the center of each atom. Now matter is made from very small particles, and the smallest building of blocks of matter is called an atom. So atoms are building blocks of all the matter. An atom consists of central part called as nucleus, and around the nucleus there are number of electrons revolving around the orbit. So here one thing is that, so we have number of orbits depending upon the element which you're going to use, right? So the conductor will be having free electrons in their valence band, that is the last outermost orbit, which are responsible for the electrical and heat conduction. So these electrons can be moved or can be removed from the particular atom or from the outermost orbit of the atom. So the energy level of an electron increases as its distance from the nucleus increases, saying that if the electron which is there in the second orbit is going to possess more energy compared to the first orbit. Similarly, the electron which is there in the third orbit will be having higher energy than the second orbit. So, as we can see that the conductors, so these are the materials having plenty of free electrons in their valence band, that is the outermost part, outermost orbit, which are responsible for electrical and heat conduction. Therefore, the electron which is there in the last orbit will possess a very high energy, and these high energy electrons are less bounded to the nucleus. Hence, these electrons are more mobile. Let's say in the sense they can be moved easily from the valence band to conduction band. Commonly used conductors are the copper, gold, silver, aluminium, which are very good conductors of electricity. So in the outermost orbit of the atom of the conductor, there are free electrons which can be removed from the parent atom by the application of some external force. So here you can see that the conductors are having overlapping of energy level. Therefore, the energy gap is 0. Next, we'll be looking at semiconductors. So this is the explanation. So again, the gold, silver, copper, aluminum are good electrical conductors. So when we look at the cost factor, copper and aluminum are most widely used as a transmission wire and a cable, and the windings of rotating machines such as motor, alternator, etc. Oxygen-free high conductivity. Copper conductor is very suitable for a low temperature application. The electrical resistivity of a conductor is of the order 10 raised to minus 9 ohm meter. It is influenced by temperature, impurities, alloying element, and the plastic deformation. Semiconductors. So these are the solids having energy gap lying between the conductor and the insulator. So these materials allow the electrons to pass through them so that they can conduct electricity. Hence, the valence band is completely filled, but the conduction band is almost empty, and they are separated by a small energy gap, that is Eg. So, they are basically an electronic device materials, namely silicon and germanium in an element form. So, the element form remains in pure state and is called as intrinsic semiconductor. So why we are not using intrinsic semiconductor? So as the semiconductors are of no practical utility since they desire an extremely high voltage, that is 10 to 8 volts for the conduction purpose. So but the semiconductor says that it requires only a small energy so that the electron can move from the valence band to conduction band. So the electron which is of pure state is an intrinsic semiconductor which requires a very high voltage of 10 raised to 8. Hence, in order to give some a very small voltage, they are doped to make an extrinsic semiconductor. Now, the extrinsic semiconductor are primarily of N type and P type. Hence, they are doped with pentavalent for N type and trivalent for P type. The N type and the P type are used to make the PN junction, NPN junction, PNP for transistors, etc. Now, the semiconductors are generally hard and brittle and they possess a negative coefficient of temperature resistance. In contrast with the conductor whose conductivity is going to increase with the purification, while in the case of the conductivity of a semiconductor, it is going to decrease with the purification. So, in terms of purifying a material, when you look at the conductor, the conductivity is going to increase in conductor, whereas the conductivity is going to decrease in the semiconductor while purifying it. Now, the semiconductors are widely used as a rectifier, amplifiers, photocells, etc. Now, their properties are of greater importance in telecommunication, power electronics, computer hardware, etc. Dielectrics. So these are the inserting material in which the valence electrons are tightly bound to their parent atom. So whereas in case of conductor, the electrons are loosely bound to their parent atom as the electrons are present on the outermost orbit and they can be easily removed from the outermost orbit. Whereas in case of dielectric, the valence electrons are tightly bound to their parent atom. Therefore, they require a very large electric field to remove these electrons from the atom. So, the dielectric materials are characterized by a full valence band, an empty conduction band, and a large energy gap of greater than 3 electron volt. The dielectrics are available in solid, liquid, and gaseous state. They may be of natural or synthetic types, polymeric or ceramic in nature. Mica, bakelite, elastomeric fiber, and paper are some examples of solid dielectric. Transformer oil, silicon oil, varnish are liquid dielectrics, while the air, nitrogen, ozone are gaseous dielectrics. Dielectrics are used as a capacitor as insulation in strain gauges and sonar devices. The main property of dielectric are their dielectric constant, dielectric strength, and dielectric loss. So these parameters will be studied in module 3. So we have a separate chapter for dielectric, separate chapter for conductor. Module, I guess. A good dielectric should have a high dielectric constant and high dielectric strength, but a lower dielectric loss. We look at superconductors. Now, these are the material which exhibit abrupt and sudden change in their resistance and other behavior at extremely low temperature. It is because of a phenomena called superconductivity, which is noticed below a certain critical temperature. Now, the superconductors show extraordinary properties like wherein its resistance will be zero, the magnetic flux density passing through the material is zero, and the copper loss is also zero. These materials fall in the category of metals and ceramic and may be in element, compound, or alloy forms. Now, they may be a magnetic or non-magnetic nature, or they are of type 1, type 2, and low temperature or high temperature superconductors. Since the peculiar behavior of superconductivity in material is presently available at lower temperature only, so there is no need to develop these properties at high temperature. The superconductors are used in leviated trains, that is wheel-less train moving on a magnetic field. An electric train, you can say, a maglev train, or magnetic levitation, you can say, as powerful magnets for nuclear fusion reactors, in medical image machines, in cyclogenic engines for high-speed electronic signal processing, and magneto-hydrodynamic power generation, etc. Its existence at room temperature in future is likely to bring a revolution in lifestyle of mankind. The next classification is magnetic materials. Now, these are those materials in which the magnetism can be easily induced to make them as a magnet. So, there are many ways to make a metal or an iron piece to make as a magnet. Right. So, the generation of induced dipole is attributed to electron spin or the orbital motion of electron and the interaction between them. So, it says that the origin of magnetic field is by an electron or the orbital motion of the electron. So, as the electron is going to move around the nucleus, it is going to revolve around the axis. At the same time, the electron is going to rotate on its own axis. Firstly, the electron is going to move in the orbit. At the same time, the electron is going to revolve on its own axis. So, because of that, there it is going to create a magnetic field. So, depending upon the arrangement of magnetic moments in them, the magnetic materials may be of diamagnetic, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic, antiferromagnetic, and ferromagnetic or ferrites types. Let's look at what is diamagnetic material. So, these are the materials which does not develop any magnetism in them due to absence of magnetic moment. So, the magnet will be having a magnet dipole. Dipole in the sense there are two monopoles present in a magnet, that is north and one is south. The examples of diamagnetic materials are gold, bismuth, copper, etc. Paramagnetic materials, which forms a very weak magnet. The examples are aluminium, platinum, etc. Ferromagnetic materials. It develops a very strong magnetism, and the examples for the ferromagnetic materials are steel, iron, nickel, cobalt, and gadolinium are such examples of ferromagnetic material. Now, depending upon the area under the BH curve, the ferromagnetic material may either be a soft magnetic material or a hard magnetic material. So, the soft magnetic materials are used as transformer core because here the losses, that is the hysteresis losses, is least in them, whereas the hard magnetic materials are used to make a permanent magnet for electric motors, alternators. Therefore, the ferromagnetic materials find use as a magnetic screen and magnetic wave also. The next one is antiferromagnetic material. So these are the materials in which the quantum mechanical exchange forces produces a tendency of anti-parallel alignment of electron spin of neighboring atoms. Oxides and sulfides of metals are some example of this kind. Their susceptibility is of the order 10 raised to the highest power, which varies with the change in temperature. Maximum susceptibility in them occurs at mean temperature. So we'll be looking at module 3 second chapter, which is totally based on magnetic material, wherein we'll be looking at the different kinds of magnetic material. We'll be looking at what is the electron spin, what are the alignments taking place in the magnetic material, what is the magnetic dipole taking place in them, what is susceptibility, what is near temperature. Next is ferrites. These are those kind of magnetic materials in which the magnitude of magnetic moment is more in one direction than the other. They are the compounds of two metallic oxides, of which one is invariably an iron oxide. The examples are, so these are the examples of ferrites. Now we'll be looking at the scope of electrical and electronics materials. Scope of application of electrical material is very vast. These materials find utilities in not only in electrical engineering machines, equipments, devices, but also it is used as a component, circuits, and other auxiliary related to electronic computers and instrumentation fields. Their importance is also realized in cable networking, wireless networking, satellites, optical devices, etc. They find very useful application even in medical, mechanical, nuclear, biotechnological fields. The details given below focus upon the scope of electrical materials in numerous applications. Let's see. In consumer item, so we have bulb, filament, inverters, iron press, switches, television, heaters, radio, micro ovens, and tape recorders. So these are the scope of electrical materials used in consumer items. So let's see what about in electrical engineering. So obviously we have alternators, transformers, conductors, contacts, cables, bus bars. What about in case of electronics? So it is satellite, photoconductivity cell, transistor, amplifier, integrated circuits, antenna, broadcasting system, printed circuits, rectifier modulators, etc. In robotics, sensors, actuators, controls, processor, and encoders. In computer engineering, we have hardware, monitors, ports, memory devices, floppy, hard disk, and printers. In instrumentation engineering, we have cathode ray oscilloscopes, recorders, transducers, signal generators, microprocessor strain gauges, thermistor energy meters. In information technology, multimedia devices, networking cables, web camera, router, and camcorder. In mechanical engineering, furnace, thermocouples, arc welding, electrically heated ovens, X-ray systems. In biotechnology and medical science, electrocardiography, fiber optic endoscopy, electronic photography, magnetic resonance imaging. So these are the examples of each of the engineering wherein they are using the electrical and electronics materials. So in each of the engineering, such as computer science engineering, instrumentation, information, mechanical, biotechnology, electronics, so they're all using the electrical and electronics materials, right? And also, so the most of the above systems or the devices are interdisciplinary now. So as I said, the materials which are used nowadays are all of interdisciplinary and are indicatively only. They are indicatively. Beside above, the electrical materials are also used in the fields of aeronautics, marine, defense, chemical, metallurgical, civil, automobile engineering applications. Thank you.